Hi students, welcome back. In this lab, Lab 9, we're going to discuss a programming language called VBA. VBA is short for Visual Basic Applications. In this lab, we'll discuss VBA's application in the Word document. In Lab 10, the next lab, we'll discuss VBA's application in macro-enabled Excel document. So let's get started. As you open this assignment sheet, we're actually going to work exactly on this sheet instead of creating a new one, which I'll explain in a second. So as you opened it, for Windows users, you should follow the instructions listed below. If you cannot find a developer tab, you should navigate to File, Options, and then find the developer tab on the left hand side and then check it and add it to the right hand side so that it will show up in the ribbon just like this. So if you already have developer tab on your Windows machine, you can activate the VBA Visual Basic Editor by pressing Alt and F11 at the same time. So I'll explain how to do that on Mac. It should ended up showing up the same window. So as I click on Developer, I click Editor, and this window will show up. So on Windows machine, if you click Alt and F11 on your keyboard together, this project window should show up as well. So after it does that, click Insert, and then before you click on Insert, I want to remind you that we're only focusing on the project that's named after your file. So it should be Project Lab9 vba1 for everybody at this point, because just in case that you have other documents like I do up here, you should ignore them because they're not really the document you should be working on. So let's only focus on this one, and as you click on this one, you're focusing on this one, and you're going to insert module, and then of course I already have one module here. I will delete that one because we are only going to use one, so I will delete my module 1, and then I only have module 2 left. For you all who is creating a module for the first time, you should have module 1. So after you click on module 1, for me it's module 2, this window should show up. It's a blank window that allows you to code in. And then I want to remind you that at this point you should really try to save your file, and then it's important that you save it in the correct format, because if you don't, I will open your file as if I'm looking at the assignment file without really getting the codes that you code in the back. Therefore, I wouldn't be able to grade your assignment. So it's important that you save it in the correct format. So you go ahead and click Save As, instead of just go ahead and save it as, for example, you type in your last name here. I'm not going to do that just because. And then you should click on here as a Word macro enabled document. Again, this is very important. You really should try to save it as a macro enabled document as soon as you create this document, because again, if you don't save it as the correct document, I won't be able to grade you. So you should click on Save, and then therefore save it on your desktop or wherever it's convenient for you. So therefore you won't ever lose the code that you are about to code right now. So as we go back to the module, we'll select these 3 lines as indicated right here and paste it on here. And then I'll explain what we're doing. We are creating our first message box. This is a very simple and plain message box that expresses a message that you essentially code here. If you say this is an apple, your message box should exactly say back, this is an apple. But we're saying this is cool right here. So we expect the message box to say back, to repeat this message. So let's see if it actually works. So we're going to select all 3 lines. For Windows users, you can just press F5 to run the code. For Mac users, we're going to run from here. So my message box is this box. It says exactly what I have coded in the message line, and it prompts me to click on OK, which I'm doing right here. So that was my first message box. It ran, and it ran just fine. So we're going to go to the next question. We're also going to create a message box for question 2. It's just that this message box is a little bit more complicated than the first one. So for Windows users, you should copy and paste these codes. For Mac users, we're going to use these. They're the same, just formatted a little differently. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Select this exact message and run it. As you can see, my second message box has run. So it asks me a question, and it prompts me to select one of these 2 answers, and I really can only select one of these 2 answers. So then it will confirm what you have said, and then I clicked on no, so it confirmed that I answered no, and I say okay. That is my second message. So you can read the notes to help you understand what the codes are actually meaning and what they're doing. But otherwise, we're moving on to creating our third box. This third message box is still a message box, but it allows your input. So we're going to run it, and in this one, you're supposed to enter your name. So I just entered my alias, and I will click on OK. And then that confirms your input right here. And I'll say OK. And that is my third message box. Moving on to question 4. I gave you a prompt right here, which is the bibliography of the Dean of Auburn University's College of Engineering. So in this text, there are many keywords that are stating engineering, like here and here. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to use this piece of code to replace the lowercase engineering to uppercase. You could have done that in the Word document by pressing Control and F to find and replace, but that's really not the goal here. We're going to try to use this VBA code and try to understand how it works and do essentially the same thing. So we're going to see how that works. I'm going to select this and run it. As you can see, let's see if it's actually working. Oh, okay. Well, it did work. It just lagged a little bit. So as you can see, within seconds, we have already accomplished changing the lowercase engineering to uppercase engineering. So that was question 4. Question 5, you're supposed to answer within this document. You should just insert your answer right underneath this gray button right here. So what you're going to do is that you're going to create and run a macro button. So how we're going to do is that if you're using a Windows machine, you should insert a set of field code braces looking like these ones using simultaneous press of Control and F9. I mean, I understand there are the exact same braces on your keyboard which you can key in, but the key is that we don't key in the braces. We use Control and F9 to automatically generate these in preparation for our macro button. So as these pop up by pressing Control and F9, we're going to enter this line of code inside the braces, just looking just like this, except for if you see right here, I'm highlighting my macro name. This is a placeholder, and then you're going to replace that with one of the codes that you have already written. Like you can replace it with my second message, my third message, or my first message, but just not this alias. And then as I'm using a Mac right now, I'm going to demonstrate similar steps on Mac. It's slightly different, but the outcome is very, very similar. So I'm going to insert field, and I will enter my macro button here. And then, as you can see, the macro button prompt in here is in all caps, but it really doesn't matter. You can do combinations of uppercase, lowercase. You can do all lowercase, or you can do exactly as how it's set in here. It does not matter at this step. But then we're going to say, I'm going to use my first message. Let's see. I think it's my first message box. I don't remember. So let's do it one more time. So, okay, well, it's actually my first message. So let's do it one more time. Insert field, macro button, my first message, and then there it prompts me to say a display text as it's shown up here. So whatever you want to show on your button, you should enter right here. So what I want to do is double click. I want to tell my users to double click it to run macro. And this one, I did make sure to properly cap the first letters because I wanted to make my button look professional and nice. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And there it shows up as a very raw looking button, but it's working. So we're going to click on that, and it's definitely working. It's just not looking like something you want to click, right? So we're going to add some embellishments to it to make it look more like a button. And then make the font look a little clickable like that. And then you can do different things like different colors of the background or font, but as long as it looks in the line of this and it looks very professional and clean, we're good to go. So we're going to double click on it, yes, and then it's working. Of course, this is the first message box. You can code with the second message box, and then I'm going to right click and check my toggle field code, and that's exactly what I have input in there, and it looks all nice. So I'm going to switch it back to a button, and I'm done with the question 5. For question 6, we actually need this sheet right here. That's an Excel file that you should be able to find in this assignment on Chemist. So what we're going to learn here is that we're going to try to learn how to filter data. As you can see, we could have thousands of lines of data entries, but how do you narrow it down is very crucial if you have lots of data, but then you want to quickly grab information and only the information you wanted. So in this case, we're going to click on this. So as you click on this funnel right here, that is the filter function, and then a lot of little drop down buttons are showing up, so to allow you to choose which ones you want. So in the first question, we wanted to know how many people are from Mobile. So we're going to click on this and then unselect all. We're only caring about Mobile. And then as I click on it, only a few entries showed up, and I can do this, and it's so easy. I didn't do it correctly, so let's try it one more time. Obviously, oh, okay, I see why it's not working. Okay, you can count the lines or you can number the lines, but it's very easy to see that 8 people are from Mobile. So that's how you answer the first question. Let's see. And then as we select all, of course, we expand it to the full roster right here. So I'm only going to show another example right here. I think question D asks how many seniors made the dean list, aka a cumulative GPA of 3.75 and higher. So first we want to know who is a senior. So we're going to not only use the filter function right here, but we are also going to filter out their GPAs. So how we're going to do that is we're going to kind of lock down this L column, and we're going to sort it because it's really hard to pick out it one by one. So we're going to do sort. And then when it asks you if you want to expand the selection, you say yes, because the one GPA is actually associated with a specific person. You don't want to just, sort the GPAs not without sorting the people together. So as we do that, we're going to select, okay, so these people have GPAs that are 3.75 or higher. And then once you're sorted and you narrowed the students down to only seniors, it's a lot easier to count how many people that are within the realm of your selection. So that's it. That's for VBA1 in Word. And then as I said earlier, next class we're also going to do VBA, but it's an extension of VBA, and it's about VBA application in Excel. I'll see you next time.